There is a number that changes everything about your retirement, and most people lock it in too early for the wrong reasons and spend the next 20 years paying for it. I am not talking about your savings rate. I am not talking about your investment returns. I am talking about the single decision that determines how much money shows up in your bank account every single month for the rest of your life. The age you claim Social Security. And here is the part that should concern you. The most popular age to claim is 62, the earliest age you can, the age that gives you the smallest check, the age that for a surprising number of people quietly guarantees they will run out of money before they run out of years. I have sat across from people in their mid-70s who claimed at 62 and now live on a benefit so small it does not cover their fixed expenses. They are not reckless people. They are not uninformed. They simply made a decision that felt logical at the time and did not understand how permanent that decision was. Because that is the thing nobody frames clearly enough. This is not a flexible choice. This is not something you adjust later. The moment you file, the reduction is baked in, for life. Let me be specific. If your full retirement age is 67 and you claim at 62, your benefit is permanently reduced by roughly 30%. Not temporarily, not as a placeholder, permanently. Every single month from 62 until the day you die, you receive 30% less than you would have received if you had simply waited 5 more years. Now, most people hear that and think, sure, but I am getting 5 extra years of payments. I am coming out ahead because I started collecting sooner. That math feels right, but it is not. The break-even point, the age where waiting to claim actually puts more total money in your pocket, is typically somewhere around 78 to 80. After that, every single month the person who waited collects more and keeps collecting more for the rest of their life. And here is the part people forget. The average 62-year-old in reasonable health today has a life expectancy well into their mid-80s. That means for most people, claiming early is not a head start. It is a decade or more of reduced income during the most expensive, most medically vulnerable years of your life. And that is where the real damage starts. People do not claim early because they are bad with money. They claim early because the framing around Social Security is designed to make early feel safe. Think about how it is presented. You turn 62, and the Social Security Administration essentially says, "Congratulations, you are eligible. Here is your number. Would you like to start receiving it?" There is no flashing warning. There is no side-by-side comparison that shows you what your life looks like at 82 with a reduced benefit versus a full one. There is no projection of how inflation will erode that smaller check over 2 decades. It is just an offer. And it feels like a reward. That emotional pull is enormous. You have worked for decades. You are tired. The idea that the government is finally going to pay you something every month feels like freedom. And turning that down, deliberately choosing to wait while watching other people collect, that feels irrational. It feels like leaving money on the table. But it is the opposite. Claiming early is the decision that leaves money on the table. Enormous amounts of money. Over a normal retirement, the difference between claiming at 62 and claiming at 67 can easily exceed $100,000 in total lifetime income. And if you wait until 70, that gap grows even wider. This is not theoretical. This is real money that does not show up in your account because of a single decision you made years earlier. Let me put it in terms that actually land. Say your full benefit at 67 would be $2,000 a month. If you claim at 62, that drops to roughly $1,400. $600 less every month. Now stretch that across a year. That is over $7,000 you do not have. Stretch it across 10 years. That is more than $70,000. Stretch it across 20 years of retirement, and you are looking at a gap that could have paid off a house, funded long-term care, or simply kept you from running out of savings at 84. But if you had waited until 70, that same benefit would grow to roughly $2,480 a month. That is a difference of over $1,000 per month compared to the 62 check. Every month, automatically adjusted for inflation, guaranteed for life. No investment portfolio on earth gives you a guaranteed inflation-adjusted lifetime income stream with that kind of increase for simply waiting a few years. None. And yet millions of people walk away from it every year because the smaller check arrives first. Think about what that means in practical terms. At 62, your monthly check might cover your groceries, your utilities, and maybe part of your insurance premium. At 70, that same check might cover all of that, plus your property taxes, and still leave room to breathe. The difference between those two realities is not luck. It is not the market. It is a decision you made once, at one moment, that echoes through every month that follows. And here is what makes it worse. Inflation does not care when you claimed. Your costs keep rising either way. But when your base benefit is already reduced, every year of inflation pushes you further behind. The cost of living adjustments help, yes, but a 3% increase on $1,400 is not the same as a 3% increase on $2,000. The gap does not shrink over time, it grows. Now here is where this gets more serious than most people realize. Claiming early does not just shrink your check. It creates a cascading problem that compounds over time. First, it forces you to draw down your savings faster. If your Social Security covers less of your monthly expenses, the gap has to come from somewhere. That somewhere is your retirement accounts. And when you pull more from those accounts earlier, you lose the compounding those dollars would have generated. So not only do you get less from Social Security, your portfolio also shrinks faster. Two drains running at the same time. Second, a smaller benefit means less room to absorb unexpected costs, and retirement is full of unexpected costs. A medical event, a home repair, a family emergency. When your baseline income is already tight, any surprise becomes a crisis, and crises in retirement do not heal the way they do when you are working. There is no raise coming. There is no overtime available. There is no bonus next quarter. Third, and this is the one that catches people off guard, your Social Security benefit is the foundation for your surviving spouse's income. If you are the higher earner in a married couple and you claim early, you are not just reducing your own benefit, you are potentially reducing what your partner will receive after you die. That smaller check becomes their smaller check for the rest of their life. I have seen this happen. A husband claims at 62, passes away at 75, and his wife spends the next 15 years living on a survivor benefit that is hundreds of dollars a month less than it needed to be. Not because they did not plan, because the plan did not account for how permanent this decision really is. So who should actually claim at 62? There are legitimate reasons. If you have a serious health condition that significantly reduces your life expectancy, the math can favor claiming early. If you have genuinely no other source of income and you need the money to survive right now, waiting is not practical. If you have done the math carefully with a financial planner and your specific tax situation, pension income, and savings make early claiming part of a deliberate strategy, then fine. But that is not why most people claim at 62. Most people claim because they are tired, because they just got laid off, because they saw someone on the internet say you should take the money and invest it, because they are afraid the program will run out, because it was there and they took it. None of those are financial strategies. They are emotional reactions. And emotional reactions to a permanent financial decision are how people end up in trouble at 80. There is also a common myth that you should claim early and invest the money yourself. The logic sounds clean. Take the benefit at 62, put it in the market, earn a higher return. But that logic assumes you will actually invest every dollar, that the market will cooperate, that you will not touch that money for anything else, and that you will outlive the break-even point by enough years to overcome the guaranteed loss. In reality, most people who claim early spend the money. It goes to living expenses. It goes to helping a family member. It goes to a trip they have been putting off. The investment plan evaporates within the first year. Let me address the fear directly. Yes, you have heard that Social Security might run out. You have heard the trust fund is in trouble, and that is partially true. The trust fund reserves are projected to be depleted, and if Congress does nothing, benefits could be reduced. But even in the worst-case scenario, the system would still pay out roughly 75 to 80% of scheduled benefits from ongoing payroll taxes. It does not go to zero. It has never gone to zero. And every serious proposal to fix the funding gap involves gradual adjustments, not eliminating the program. Claiming early because you are afraid of a future reduction means you are guaranteeing yourself a 30% cut right now to avoid a possible 20 to 25% cut that may or may not happen years from now. That is not caution. That is panic dressed as strategy. And there is another thing people almost never consider. If you claim at 62 and you are still working, even part-time, your benefit may be reduced further through the earnings test. If you earn more than around $23,000 while collecting Social Security before your full retirement age, the government withholds $1 of benefit for every $2 you earn above that limit. So you claimed early to get money sooner, and now a portion of that money is being taken back because you are still earning income. That is not a plan. That is a trap disguised as a benefit. Here is what I want you to understand. Social Security is not a signing bonus. It is not a reward for turning a certain age. It is the single most important piece of guaranteed income you will ever have in retirement. And the decision about when to turn it on is one of the most consequential financial decisions you will make in your entire life. You do not get to undo it. You do not get to go back and file again at 67 because you realize the check at 62 was not enough. Once it is done, it is done. So before you file, sit down with somebody who can run the numbers for your specific situation. Look at your health. Look at your spouse's age and earnings history. Look at your other income sources. Look at what your expenses will realistically be at 75, at 80, at 85, and then make the decision. Not the decision that feels good today, the decision that still makes sense when you are 83 and the money has to last. Because the biggest risk in retirement is not running out of time. It is running out of income while you still have plenty of time left.